Pledge, please. Flag. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could pause for a moment of silence, please. Welcome, thanks for coming. This is our monthly meeting. We're here to accomplish the business of schools for the sake of our students. We do want to hear from our citizens, and there's time for public comment. Prior to our action items on the agenda, we ask speakers identify themselves and their home district. We also ask that your comments are limited to 3 minutes in order to provide equity to all speakers and to ensure our meeting is reasonable and length. If you have more information that can be summarized in 3 minutes, please provide leave-behind materials for the board's review. The moderator will ask you to conclude your remarks as time has elapsed. If you have any questions during the session, you may ask for clarification from a school board member or a school administrator after the meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda this evening? So we have a motion from Mr. Ruth. Second. Motion Mr. Ruth, second Mr. Grove. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. So is our school liaison here? Let's see here. I'm sure there's something more pressing.
There she is.
Oh,
You're making grand.
she enters on cue.
Yes,
Wow.
she did.
Perfect timing,
You
Camden.
changed her up.
Camden, come on in. Hey, Camden, that mic, you gotta get really close to it.
Yep, thank you. Sorry, I was doing homework. All right.
You are.
Good job.
Great excuse. At
Okay.
least it wasn't traffic, right? Part of it.
All right, let's start. Okay, Monday, of course, we had no school. Tuesday, classy versus trashy. I kind of was trashy. Wednesday, bikers versus surfers. Thursday, powder puff football versus powder puff cheer. Friday, class color wars. 8th grade wears yellow. 9th grade wears pink. 10th grade wears red. 11th grade wears blue. And finally, 12th grade wears black. And faculty staff wears blue and gold. And Tuesday through Friday is our penny wars, so be prepared to drop your pennies. Powder puff football game, which is Thursday, October 13th at 6 p.m. Seniors versus juniors. The admission is $5. T-shirts are sold for $10. Homecoming king and queen, prince and princess voting is on Thursday, October 13th. Homecoming pep rally is on Friday, October 14th at 2:00 p.m. and it is led by the SCA. Okay, the homecoming tailgate party is Friday, October 14th at 5 p.m. through 7 p.m. It is sponsored by the junior class. The theme is construction. Bring money for fried Oreos, cold and hot Brinker's cider, and a gift basket raffle. Admission is free with purchase of a football ticket. Homecoming football game, Friday, October 14th at 7:00 p.m. Panthers versus, I think it's, can't really pronounce the word, but I'll make sure Miss Newman gets it.
Chinkity.
Oh, Chinkity. Okay. The admission is $5. The homecoming halftime show is RCHS marching band performance, homecoming choir introductions and coronation. Homecoming, and finally the homecoming dance is Saturday, October 15th at 7:30 p.m. through 11 p.m. The homecoming reveal will be the Enchanted Forest. Rhine or Shine, the dance is outside. Admission is $15 single for me, and $20 at the door. All outside. Guests must be approved. Tickets go on sale on Thursday, October 6th.
Great. Thank you, Kat.
Mhm.
All right.
Roger Pantadosi donated 2 Apple Cinema Display computer monitors and adapters to the technology department. The Hampton Foundation donated $2,000 to 2 elementary school teachers, Matt Hummel and Linda Way. And we have a long list of donations to the FFA in memory of Richard Settle, totaling $1,525. Let me put the list up on the screen.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to 2.7, is there a motion to adopt the minutes from September 13th meeting? We have a motion, Mr. Grove. Second, Ms. Bowden. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. So ordered. Mr. Grove, you've reviewed the bills?
I have, and everything looks to be in order. There's some negatives in there that we have to reconcile to put those back.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Is there a motion, Mr. Rubin? Is there a second?
Okay.
Second.
We're tied.
Second for Ms. Meyer. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. So ordered. Dr. Grimms.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have an exciting list of reports of the superintendent. I'm going to start with a PTO update. We have a really active, amazing PTO right now doing some amazing things. So we've spoken, and we'd actually like to have a standing agenda item on the school board meetings to allow the PTO just to bring you up to speed on some of the things that they're doing, and just so everyone's abreast of projects going on, and that'll happen every other month is what we thought would be a good idea. So without further ado, I will invite Shauna Bowler. Looking forward.
Hi, you guys hear me? I'm sorry. Shauna Ballmer.
Just
You can
hold on.
hold
Okay, just hold it.
out there.
That's better.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay, perfect. That makes sense. Shauna Ballmer, PTO president, Wakefield District. So, and Missy McCool's with me too. She's our vice president. The PTO has become really service-oriented the last few years, I'll say. One of the things that we're doing is the nursing staff came to us the end of last school year and asked about helping support the hygiene carts in the girls' bathrooms. As you all know, I'm sure it was mandated by the state, but not funded by the state to provide hygiene products. And so the nursing staff has been, I think, spending about 20% of their budget on that. So they asked the PTO for help, and we thought, well, we can get the community behind this. And so we went out to different organizations in the community, and I gave them each a pop-up hamper, and they've been filling it up. So a lot of it is the Clergy Association and different groups in the county, and have been donating money to the PTO. We're kind of a pass-through and just giving it off to the nurses. Made me think of it when the donation list came up. So this is one of the projects the PTO has taken on, is providing hygiene carts in boys and girls bathrooms, not just the girls. And the teacher bathrooms, staff bathrooms, we had been doing previously, and that can all be done through this program now. So that's an update. We have a big Halloween party coming up, Monster Mash, and it's getting really big. I have like having a collaborative approach, and so, for instance, the high school was going to do a haunted house, but now they want to combine forces with us. So we're doing one big, huge Halloween festival down at the elementary school. The library is going to help us do a haunted trick-or-treat maze instead of a trunk-or-treat. Commit to Be Fit is going to work on doing games for us, and Headwaters is doing crafts, pumpkin painting. We're going to be doing food, Monster Mash dance party, and a costume contest, all kinds of fun things. And now working with the high school too with a haunted house. So it'll be a school-wide fun party on the 28th of October from 6 to 8:30. And then the big news is the paving project. So our perimeter path, yes, thank you. We started working on this, I guess about, well, early on last school year, we sent a survey out to staff as to what could be helpful, knowing this is our one big, huge fundraiser. And this idea of having a ADA, 8-foot wide, accessible path around the soccer fields by the school board offices and paving that basketball area at the playground would be really helpful. So it was a big ticket and we were able to come through, which is really exciting. The kids raised $17,000 with their fun run, and then we obtained grants from 2 different organizations. And then we had engineering drawings that were also about $15,000 that were donated. So all in, it's $61,000, and we're really excited. We're really excited to make this happen. So the project is scheduled for Monday, November 7th. It should take about a week. And we're going to have this wonderful, about quarter-mile walking path all the way around the school board soccer fields, and the basketball court up there will be paved as well. And so then we can hopefully focus to possibly, we'll do the fun run again in the spring. So we'll have some more goals, knowing what we can do with funds like that. So does anyone have any questions on the walking path?
It seems like a project that really aligns with all of our goals. We have all of our comprehensive 10 goals, committed to be fit, and trying to get more active, and
Outside.
it's great that it's ADA accessible, and you did that extra amount. I just can't even believe you did such a giant project during the pandemic, no less. So,
We don't have to play basketball in the dirt.
Yeah, it's exciting. The picnic table drive was a big success too, so lots of room for outdoor classroom space and just more time outside, which I think is really important, needed, and right goes with the comprehensive plan. So
I guess this will fit in, as far as maintenance will go, it'll fit into when we take care of the parking areas. As far as
You want me to?
So yeah, we always look at with facilities projects like this, what are the long-term impacts and what do we have to anticipate as far as the maintenance plan goes. This one was really well designed enough to where the regular upkeep fits very well into our regular maintenance grounds budget, and as it should. It's such a wonderful gift to the school. We looked at some of the resealing, well, and Shauna got some prices on that too. And something like this, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. So it was suggested that seal coating may need to be done, but I called around to Fauquier County, Warren County, and Warrenton, and they've all had trails for Royals trails 11 years old. The wharf is 20 years old, and they've never seal coated it once because there's no vehicles on it. So that really is what the seal, all the chemicals that vehicles emit and the driving. So it's been really maintenance free for 20 years at the wharf. So I don't see any need to have to.
So at max, once every 10 years, we're looking at $2,500.
Right, in 10 years.
That's good to know.
So.
I appreciate your research on that too.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate you checking on
Yeah.
So that's where we ended up. So on something like this, it's not something we would need any long-term agreements to do just because it fits so well into our regular budget. So that's okay. Typically we would, if it would require some type of an MOU for long-term maintenance and issues like that, but with something like this, it was so minimal, which we didn't know starting out, so the template was great. PTO even put together an MOU template if we needed it, but it's fine.
It's really set, 60 grand, that's quite a bar to set, and a great gift. And it's aligned with our objectives as well. It was good thinking, and good job. Can't wait to see it.
Thank you. Yeah. Wait, and it was suggested that we have a grand ribbon cutting ceremony. One of the grant donors asked us for that, so I think we'll have invite the newspaper and maybe the kids can have a big, nice rush out there. Something we'll coordinate with Lisa, and they'll have a fun ribbon cutting ceremony. Hopefully that first week in November.
Great project.
Any other?
Do your fun run on it.
Yes, exactly.
If it's in the spring, like you kind of.
As long as it doesn't rain like last year.
Money on it.
Earned 65,000 minutes.
Just keep on. Any other PTO questions?
Great work.
Super.
Great work.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next item on the agenda is the remarkable spotlight. This month, the Rappahannock Elementary School has a spotlight, so please leave the gate. You can come to the podium.
This is perfect. Can you hear me?
Did it go?
Can you hear her?
There it is.
What about now? Perfect length then.
Can you hear
Can you hear me?
her? Yes.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. So it's really hard to pick out one spotlight at the elementary school, so I chose a few. I hope you don't mind. So the first one is pizza with the principals. So you'll see later in our continuous school improvement plan that we're really looking at chronic absenteeism. So we were trying to figure out an incentive to implement at the elementary school to motivate students to come to school when they're not sick. And so each Friday, we announce who has the highest attendance average. And we broke it down between pre-K and third grade and 4 through 7. And on Fridays, we tell everybody who's in the lead, who's in first place, who's in second place, who's in third. And then at the end of the month, we get an average, and the classroom that has the highest average gets pizza with the principals. And as you see in the pictures for the month of September, Miss Snyder's homeroom won, so we had pizza with them, and so did Mrs. Hummel's 6th grade homeroom. So it was a huge hit. They were super excited, and it was a great time that we got to spend with our students and build those relationships with them. So that was my first highlight. My second one is our new theater arts exploratory class at the elementary school. So theater arts is a new exploratory class for middle school students. Students in the theater arts class begin each day with a warm-up which encourages them to listen to each other, think on their feet, and prepare them for the performance. Following the warm-up, students participate in a mini lesson, an activity to learn about theater. And this year, the students have learned about technical aspects of theater such as sets, props, lights, sound, costumes, and makeup. Students also had the opportunity to view and analyze plays. Throughout their time in theater arts class, students were given opportunities to practice and refine their acting skills. To begin the year, the students were asked to create a fully developed character, and they even presented monologues, which are scenes for just one actor. Next, the students worked with partners to rehearse and present scenes with the dialogue. The final project for the class was to present a one-act play, complete with all the theatrical elements. And the audio is not so good here, but I did want to share this video. This is just one act with students performing the 50 farthing short play. They're actually going to be presenting this to the students at school on Thursday and Friday morning at 9 o'clock if you would like to come check them out. It's going to be just one act, but our students are going to actually get to watch. So we're really excited about that. And Beth Seeley is the teacher for this class, and she's doing an amazing, amazing job. They really do get into it. During the month of September, our third grade class honored Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. They did read aloud activities, ate gold snacks, and wore gold shoelaces. And then the high school volleyball team actually participated by wearing gold and participating in a toy drive. And the third grade class honored their classmate by wearing pajamas to put cancer to sleep. And you can see the picture up there. It was really fun. They enjoyed it. And so the last, I don't have a slide for this, but our fifth grade students had the opportunity to learn about band. And I'm super excited to announce that 68% of our fifth grade students signed up for band. 68%. So we're going to have a rental night in the next couple of weeks to see, we might not have everybody stick with it, but that's still a huge percent of students to want to, join the band. So super excited about that. And I think that's all I have for now. I have tons of other spotlights, but I'll save them for another month. Thank you.
Just to build on the band, I don't know if you saw that, but our band competed over the weekend in Harrisonburg. And the last time they did their first competition since our rebuilding after COVID, They placed 5th out of 6 in the 1A, and they were so pleased with that because they worked so hard. This time they were competing against 8 1A schools, and they placed 2nd. First place in color guard both times.
Yeah.
With our 2 ladies who are in color guard, which is amazing. So we have an award-winning band in such a short time. We're very proud of them. All right, next item, Lisa and Lisa Gates and Mr. Carlos Stewart, you guys can come back up and present the continuous school improvement plans. When we presented our comprehensive plan, we told you that these would be coming in October to show you how the schools were working through some of that data to set individualized goals at each location. Your presentation. Ms. Gates.
All right, so I'll go first and Carlos will go next. This is our 22-23 continuous school improvement plan. And of course, Rappahannock County Public Schools are on the road to remarkable, and this is our roadmap to get there. So, Rappahannock County Elementary School has an overarching goal, and that is that RCES will provide a literacy-enriched environment that increases academic achievement in all subject areas while reducing the percentage of chronically absent students. So we have 3 academic goal domains. The first one is language arts. All RCES students will increase their instructional reading level by a year's growth. In mathematics, all RCES students will continue to improve in fluency and number sense with an emphasis on increasing the pass rate for students with disabilities. And in science, RCES will increase the science SOL pass rate by 10%. And our school environment goal domain is chronic absenteeism. So we are going to decrease the absenteeism rates by 10%. All right, so for our reading goal, our essential actions are broken down. 80% of our preschool through 3rd grade students will meet the PALS Spring Benchmark Assessment. And 80% of our 3rd through 7th grade students will meet the Reading Ames Web Spring Benchmark Assessment and pass their Spring Reading SOL. And how are we going to do that? Here are our action steps. Whole group and small group differentiated instruction, daily resource remediation instruction, which is built into our master schedule, monthly grade level and reading network meetings with the reading specialist to discuss student progress, bi-weekly Ames progress monitoring for students who are below grade level, and then of course formative and summative assessments. In math, 80% of our preschool and kindergarten students will meet the VKRP benchmark, and our students with disabilities will increase their pass rate on the spring math SOL by 10% or show 1 year's growth. Our action steps. So we're going to analyze that fall VKRP data with math specialists, which is already taking place. We're going to focus on daily number sense and fluency practice, daily resource and remediation instruction, which is built into our master schedule, monthly grade level and math network meetings to discuss student progress with our math specialist. Our SPED case managers are going to closely monitor individual student goal progress, and then SPED and regular ed teachers will be given the 2022 data to identify specific learning gaps from the beginning of the year, the student growth assessments. In science, preschool through 7th grade teachers will meet each semester to ensure science standards are vertically aligned. We weren't really doing that, so we're going to come together and really look at those standards that they're tested on and really making sure those teachers hit those hard in the lower grades. Teachers will come together, like I said, to discuss the science standards taught within their grade level to make sure they're aligned with preschool through 7th grade. Standards that are covered on the SOL will be highlighted and taught with fidelity. Teachers will collaborate to discuss the changes of science standards with the academic services coordinator, which has already taken place. Science teachers will administer a fall and spring student growth assessment to monitor student progress and identify learning gaps to guide their instruction. And then the chronic absenteeism. The RCES attendance team will monitor attendance daily and follow up with student families who are absent. The RCES attendance team will establish positive school-wide daily and monthly incentives to promote attendance. And our action steps are, attendance is going to be promptly taken at 8:45 each morning to ensure the attendance clerk can touch base with each absent student's family. The division-wide tiered attendance system will be followed. Administration will monitor chronically absent students while building relationships and educating families on the importance of school attendance. Teachers will celebrate 100% attendance with classroom rewards. Right now, they have a teamwork sheet, and teamwork is spelled out in bubbles. And every day that everybody's there, they get to color in a bubble. And then once teamwork is filled in, they celebrate as a class. The teacher lets them have extra recess or whatever they want to do. So it's a classroom celebration. And then administration will monitor attendance weekly and provide monthly incentives such as pizza with the principals, which you saw earlier. All right, so that's the elementary school. Any questions about the elementary school's school improvement plan?
I was wondering about that. You said earlier that we're not encouraging people to come to school when they're sick. So
Right.
how do you differentiate that with the bubble coloring activity or the attendance activity, the pizza with the principal's numbers?
So if a student's sick, when they come to school, they're going to color in the bubble. But if they're sick, then we understand that. It's an understood thing. But we're finding that sometimes days are taken that aren't really needed and extra days to do things that maybe, not really vacations, but we had a student that went shopping. They said, well, I should have went shopping. I could have colored in a letter. So just looking at those types of situations when they're sick, the teacher, of course, doesn't want them to be at school because we don't want to get everybody sick. But it's just an understood thing that when they're sick, they don't come. They're not penalized, but the classroom does get to celebrate with that incentive when they are all there.
So they're like, I'm sorry, I just want to understand. So if someone is sick, because I can understand getting close to the end of the, if you're close to another class, I could feel some students might feel like they should go to school when they're sick. If it's just a straight numerical who's there, who's not questioning.
Well, it's important too that we are kind of going back to the old model of making sure there's no fever,
Yeah.
symptoms improving, 24 hours, no medicine. If those are all the cases and your child feels well enough, they can come. We're not in, whereas 2 years ago, it was like,
Yeah.
you see a sniffle, stay home until we know
Yeah,
what
right.
else is
Yeah.
going on for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's a shift in thought with our
But
parents.
it's still, we don't want to creep towards
Yeah.
there's still a lot of kids getting sick, and that's the question.
Right, so that's kind of where we're at. So parents know, their children's best. Stay home if you're sick. We still, are adamant about just stay home if you're sick, but come back when you're well. We are advocating too with the state that chronic absenteeism should not be included in accreditation for schools for this very reason. We've just trained everybody for the last 2 years, please don't come to school.
Yeah.
And now you're saying, okay, but you're gonna take away our accreditation if we don't meet this mark, whereas we could actually perform better on academic achievement and close achievement gaps, but because we have people doing what they're supposed to do, you're gonna take away our accreditation. So it's a strange thing that we are advocating that, so we're doing the best we can, having some fun incentives to reward that teamwork and behavior, which, helps in a lot of cases, but we still want parents to be mindful of watching those symptoms and if, fever-free, 24 hours at least, no medicine, and then they can come back.
And if a student, goes on power school and does all their homework for that day when they have the sick day, does that count better than I just want to understand the grades of absenteeism.
So we have different attendance codes that we're utilizing for students. So when they're not at school and if it's COVID related, it still can be counted as a present remote if they do their work. And then students that go on trips, we have a makeup code that we're able, but it has to be if they complete their work. So they are getting credit for that.
They can fill in the bubble and
Yes.
they can
If they're completing their work.
check in on power school and do their homework and
Yep, if we hear from their
you
parents.
hear from their parents and they say, she's sick, she'll do her best.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good thing to understand.
Yeah.
I think people need to understand that the state, I think it still considers chronic absenteeism as 10 days in a school year. That's not very many days to be chronically absent.
And they're not consecutive.
No,
Cumulative.
10 total days, doesn't matter when they are.
Mhm.
And that if you're 11th day, you're chronically absent.
Correct.
And I think I agree that I think we want to, I can remember horror stories of parents bringing a kid into the office saying, my kid has 100% attendance for 6 years in elementary school, they're sick, bring them into the office at 8 o'clock in the morning and take them home, because then they're present. I think we want to try to avoid that kind of activity.
So Dr. Grimsley, you said the conversation is going with this absenteeism being part of our accreditation
Correct.
check. So how's the conversation going? Are we able to talk to DOE and
Well, and the intent, we understand that there usually is a positive correlation between chronic absenteeism and plummeting student achievement generally. But after COVID, schools have been given a lot more tools to access their students while they're home and giving students a lot more interactivity on those types of platforms that we all now have in place. So why not be able to use those to indicate, especially if there is no correlation between the absenteeism and performance. If you have a kid who's performing at an A+ rate, but had 10 days throughout the year, that's just better than a kid, in the whole year. So why do we have to
so
mark
is
them in schools?
it Bass that's pursuing it, or who's
Mass is
pursuing?
bringing it up. I have been bringing it up in my meetings as region board chair, COSARs. Now there's a federal piece of that too, a component that's federal. So as much as we can just say, especially now post-COVID, with so many more tools to provide remote instructions and analyzing what students are able to make up in between. As long as there is no correlation, we have ways that we can code so that the school is not penalized, but we're still recognizing the work that students are doing. In fact, they're kind of working harder. They've been out for a while and have to come back. So there's ways we can do that internally that we're working.
The reason to ask is, as long as there's momentum and the conversation's still going, it's great. Is there anything that we can do, a resolution from the board that gets echoed to multiple boards, it starts a pattern?
Well, there's
what's
lots
the-
of pieces. Right now, I think a higher priority than even this, which this seems like one, but this is one I think we can use some internal controls with the state reporting that are perfectly legitimate that will help us kind of capture what's actually happening in the schools. But a higher priority for us is the growth being included in accreditation. We're very worried as superintendents across the state that growth measures will be taken out. We've all gone to straight pass rates at one given time. And if you can't capture growth in language proficiency, growth for your L students, and growth in the student groups, I mean, that's how you measure the quality of a school, is how much your kids grow from year to year, no matter what. So there's talk at the state level about removing growth measures. So that's something we're probably hitting a lot harder than the chronic absenteeism.
But growth is good.
Why don't they want to remove the growth?
So if you've seen the, sorry, we're going a little tangential here, but for accreditation, the current department released some information about honesty gap reporting, and there's some political debate between transition administrations about how best to capture academic achievement. Did I say that really diplomatically? So, try to be careful not to offend anybody. So with those different approaches, there are different ways to capture that. Previously, we have done straight pass rates before, and that, again, is one snapshot at a given time on one kind of type of test. When we can incorporate growth, that's identifying in that moment what that student needs, remediating, being able to give expedited retakes, for example, for alternative assessments, and then capturing growth. And then the next year, if you recovery is a big piece of that growth too. So those pieces are essential to measuring the quality of schools. That's what we believe. So hopefully the administration will listen to us in the department.
So expand the idea. So here's the thing, as it gains momentum, if it gains momentum, great, right, your argument. If it doesn't and there's frustration, the board should assemble a resolution that speaks to all of these dimensions of the SSLO criteria. And we should sign it and get it down there in front of somebody. It might start something.
I would
right?
appreciate it.
And that way it's not just, the superintendents of the state are pressing for this thing come from the people as well, right? I think that might be helpful. So as you get more frustrated, you're going to come back and let us know.
So next month I will give you
Next
a
month
plan
you're gonna have-
resolution. So no, that would be great, and as a chairperson and a member of DSLCC that meets with the state, I would be glad to bring a template to other
Great.
superintendents to provide, because VAS is taking a different approach, and they'll provide optional talking points around items so that they don't take a political standpoint on either way, but for us, it's just, here's what's good for kids in
There's just good,
Rappahannock.
that's what we want to say.
That's what we want to say.
And we saw Karen's report last month,
Mhm,
and so we know what we're going to get dinged on,
mhm,
right?
right.
And we do not want sick kids coming to school out of pressure.
No,
We
no,
don't. It's silly.
absolutely not.
So next month we'll be talking about it, right? We'll formalize something. I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, the growth part is another issue that
Yeah, no, she's still waiting for us. It's okay.
Lisa, you agree, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is like a pilot. This is like a pilot too, so once we get the present remote, once we can, we can count those students, as long as they call. We're trying to get parents to realize that they need to call and let us know when their student isn't gonna be at school. And if they do that and let us know what's going on, they're sick, they're at home working, then they're counted. They still get to
That'd
participate.
be respectful.
Yeah.
in some of the goals you have, students will have a year's growth.
Right,
The assumption would be that you're doing pre-test, post-test?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And progress monitoring and network meetings, they're incredible with data.
Okay.
It's almost
In
like
each
the-
subject area, are we doing pre-tests?
Yes,
Yes,
Yes, good, right?
absolutely, and with the things that they have done with the data is remarkable. It's almost like the Virginia Literacy Act they took out of Lisa's elementary school and said, everybody should do these things because they're working well, so, pretty awesome.
Well, thank you.
yes, you're welcome.
I'm sorry about the extension there.
It's okay.
I think it
Any
was
other
fruitful.
questions?
Or it will be fruitful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes, ma'am.
you're up.
I'm present. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Madam Superintendent, Madam Clerk, good evening. This thing is on, right?
You're gonna have to-
All right, I'll lean into it a little bit. Tonight, I'm here to present to the board and the superintendent formally the school continuous improvement plan for the high school. As Ms. Ellis shared with you at our last board meeting, both the elementary school and the high school are fully accredited. And preparing for this presentation, I'm reminded by something that was said by Jim Ryan about 3 or 4 years ago. He's the president of the University of Virginia, and he made a speech about, the title of the speech rather was, "To be great, you have to be good." Well, the scores that we have are pretty good compared to other high schools in the state, and we're getting towards great. And the plan laid before you, if you allow me a few minutes, will outline some of the methods that we use or we plan to use to get to greatness. So our overarching goal as a high school is to provide an environment that meets student and staff social and emotional needs while enhancing the academic growth of all students, particularly in the 4 core areas. In the Commonwealth of Virginia for high schools, there are 2 strands, teaching and learning and then school environment. Tonight, in my time that I have available to you, I just want to highlight the teaching and learning part. That's really the meat of this sandwich. So in terms of English language arts, the high school will increase its student achievement in reading in grades 8 and 11 from 82% to 87%. 82% was beating the state hand over fist last school year. We feel that we can do better. We have the right people in position to do that. And we want to increase our scores in writing from 69% to 75%. Many years ago, the writing scores were better here at the high school, and the reading scores were suffering. A lot of work was put into place by Dr. Grimsley and folks in position at that time, so the reading scores got up, and then the writing scores took a hit, and of course, COVID happened, so we had 2 years of work that we have to kind of go back and get. But we really feel that we can meet that target in reading and in writing this year in grades 8 and in grades 11. With respect to mathematics, we want to grow our achievement from 74% overall to 85%. Last year, that 74% Mr. Grove, you mentioned this a moment ago about the growth measures. A lot of that 74% were some students that traditionally and historically underperform on tests. And so this year, Dr. Grimsley, Dr. Johnson, they allowed me a couple bucks to get some resources so that we can strengthen the teaching models in our classrooms, particularly for special education students. And so Dr. Johnson and Dr. Grimsley were able to purchase some materials. Marilyn Friend, she's like the guru in co-teaching. So our teachers, we have a train-the-trainer model here at the high school. So they purchased the resources. We had a couple of BLT, Building Leadership Team, meetings to go through those resources. Our department chairs are going back and then training their department. So it's economical, not only on the resource end, but also the training end, so we can get the same results. And those results are to raise the standards for every student, but particularly our special education students and our students who identify as English language learners. And that's not always Spanish speakers. I think that's a misnomer that's out there. In science, we want to raise the achievement standards from 65 to 75%, as Ms. Ellis shared with you at our last board meeting. Science are looking at some new standards that are coming into place. Typically, when you are adopting new standards, there's a dip in the scores. We're looking at how we teach and how we learn here at the high school. We feel really confident about our strategies to do that, and I'll elucidate those in just a moment. And in terms of history, we are looking to go from 58% to 75%. We got some work to do in history. We got the right people in place to do that work. Now, there's a few strategies that we want to use, and I wanted to break the strategies up into three. So one is we want to develop, implement, monitor, and ensure the processes of learning, that the learning that's happening in the classroom is aligned to the content and the cognitive level of the students in front of you. I always tell my teachers, you have to work with the kid that's sitting in front of you, not the one that you wish was sitting in front of you, right? And so how do we do that work? Develop a process for reviewing lesson plans. Myself and my executive assistant, we review lesson plans every Monday and Tuesday to look at teachers. It's part of our academic review, soft academic review process that we have here. John Hattie, big researcher, he tells us that the number one effect size, the number one driver of change is feedback. People being able to have dialogue. So talking to teachers about their lesson plans, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, borrowing ideas from other teachers, we feel really good about that. Professional development with an emphasis towards dynamic co-teaching models. We talked about that a moment ago with our new Maryland Friend models. We've also asked all of our co-teaching pairings to adopt one of the 6 models of co-teaching for them to use. Of course, we would like teachers to go between all 6 models, depending on the class and the clientele that they have in front of them, but to adopt 1 or 2 models that they can become comfortable with, and so that if students move from class to class, they can grow their toolbox of how they're being instructed. And this year, we established a teaching, learning, and assessment team committee to monitor instructional data, best practices to help coach our teachers. Those persons are Ms. Crystal Smith, our academic coordinator, Ms. Karen Ellis, 3 teachers, Jennifer Goff, Jackie Lowe Barton, and Sally Shackelford. So they meet with me about once every 3 weeks, and we talk about everything: teaching, learning, assessments. How can we do this work better? How can we meet these goals? How can we continue on the road to remarkable? The second strategy I want to discuss with you today is classroom observations and walkthroughs. We got to be in those classrooms, and when I say we, I mean our administrative team. Dr. Johnson actually just a few weeks ago came to the high school and did some classroom walkthroughs with me. Forgive me for using that colloquialism. Classroom walkthroughs in this sense is when an administrator or a team of teachers or anybody interested in teaching and learning runs by, walks by the classroom, sits back, kind of see what's going on. We always tell our teachers, hey, we're not here to watch you. We're here to watch the kids learn. So doing those walkthroughs allow our teachers to get good feedback and allows them to get some feedback if there's some areas that we can all do better in. And I appreciate Dr. Johnson and members of the administration and members of cabinet coming by. Mr. Tupper came by a couple weeks ago. Dr. Grimsley comes by all the time. I'm going to invite Dr. Bolt next month in November to do those walkthroughs. And we want to make sure that our special education teachers and their collaborative content teachers meet regularly. There's a theme here. We got to reach out to those students that historically underperform. That's where the quick wins are. That's where we can easily move our school forward. And when I say easily, I don't mean the work being easily. That is where we can focus our resources and marshal our energies and get the most bang for our buck, literally and figuratively. And the third strategy that we're going to use is, of course, getting data, the qualitative and the quantitative data, creating assessments aligned to the written, the taught, and the learned curriculum, and professional development on aggregating data to create better outcomes for students. It's not good enough to know that X amount of students pass and X amount of students fail. Why do they pass? Why do they fail? What are those SLO strands that we're strong in? What do we need to get better at? And hone that instruction. Bespoke that instruction like a fire-made suit so that our students can fit into any mold that we put them in.
You got it.
Are there any questions?
No, I think you're on target. I think the data shows that frequent walkthroughs and being able to talk with the teacher following the walkthroughs and giving feedback that same day makes a great deal of difference.
Yes, sir. One of the things that we've adopted at high school, Mr. Grove, when we do, Karen and myself do classroom formal observations, we try to turn that thing around within 48 hours. When we do a walkthrough and we see where there's some areas of growth, we speak with that teacher that same day, and then we follow up 3 to 4 days later to just quality control that those things are being done. So,
I call them check-ins.
yeah. Any questions, comments, oppositions, criticisms?
I think you're on target.
Thank you.
Great strategy.
Any criticisms? My boss is right there. Thank you.
Thank you.
And those continuous school improvement plans are loaded for you as well, so you can see the actual document, how they were constructed. A lot of work went into that with the principals and their teams, so very well aligned to a comprehensive plan as well. We appreciate it. Great job. All right, the next item on our agenda is the Commit to Be Fit update. So I'm going to ask Ms. Holly Jenkins to come to the podium.
Woohoo, it's my turn.
You're fine.
How is everyone doing today? You're fine. Yeah. A little more energy? We could do jumping jacks.
Please no.
Yes, I'm Holly Jenkins with Commit to Be Fit. My teammates, Jackie and Jeremy, unfortunately could not be here this evening, but I'm super excited to be here with y'all to talk a little bit, very briefly, about our Year 5 overview. So I'm going to just quickly be summarizing school year 21-22. But wow, 5 years. It's hard to believe that we've been here this long. And I want to start off really by thanking each and every one of you, as well as each and every one of you in the community, because during the past 5 years, we really feel that we've made some great growth in student wellness. And truly, we could not have done it without your support. So thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. So let's go ahead and kick this off. We're going to start with our first of 3 prongs, which is cafeteria. So we're just going to move right along. I have a few key highlights that I just want to point out from last year. Harvest of the Month was a huge hit with our students along the nutrition education line. We are blessed to have Miss Liz Beeling, which is from School to Farm. She's our School to Farm liaison, that comes in monthly to help with educating the students about the vegetable or the fruit of the month. Check out that picture there on the left. That precious girl is holding a bell pepper, which we've turned into an octopus. Who knew that bell peppers could be that fun, right? But that's been a lot of fun. So each month we focus on the different harvest. In addition, we did a kids cooking club during the in-school monthly junior pride clubs. Mr. Jeremy Gates was just amazing at teaching the kids how to cook different things. In fact, right before Thanksgiving, he was quite ambitious and did an entire Thanksgiving dinner with the students during that time. And you can see the young chefs at the top middle there. They're cutting up strawberries. I believe that was for a strawberry smoothie as well. The Pop Bucks farmers market bags continue to be a hit. They are free for all RCPS students. We strongly encourage our students to take advantage of that. You can see that picture there, bottom middle. Each student gets meat as well as a bread and then lots of vegetables as well. And then one other key thing that I really wanted to point out was our new vegetable growing initiative that we had this past year. We had a tower garden in ABL as well as raised beds outdoors. And the students were able to plant vegetables, and then they'd watch them grow, and then they were able to taste them and incorporate them in the cooking club as well. So they actually grew some of the food that they prepared. All right. So our next prong is classroom, and with this one, the action-based learning lab continued to be a hit with the students. It provides purposeful movement to really help fill developmental movement gaps and strengthen activities that have been shown to help with academic performance in the classroom. But truly, our kids just think it's fun. It's a great opportunity just to move, and they really do enjoy it. And Jeremy Gates, who is Lisa's husband, by the way, has really transformed our action-based learning lab. He has colorful lights in there, plays great music, has made it just a really fun, inviting environment. That top middle picture is from the Morning Energizer Club that he started last year, where students that arrived to school early had an opportunity to go into the classroom, and he had a dance party going on. The Just Dance was projected on the wall, of course the disco lights, the fun music, and the kids all agreed it was a fabulous way to start off the school day. And how great would it be if we could all have a dance party before work, right? But truly, the kids enjoyed it greatly. And then we also really focused on Reboot 20, which is not a new concept. We've always integrated curriculum with the movement, but this past year we really honed in on that for remediation to really help students that needed a little extra review to prepare for, say, an upcoming test and to anchor that really with movement. So community, the third prong. We were not able to offer our in-person classes last year due to the pandemic. So we had to pivot, and I do believe in silver linings, and I feel that our virtual component of community was one of those silver linings. While we were very sad we couldn't meet in person, in some ways we were able to even have a greater reach within the community by offering some of our programming online. We debuted the Transformation program in a 12-week format where we emailed out different workouts each week to our participants, had a strong engagement through Facebook. Our first program was 12 weeks in length, and we had 158 participants, which was pretty good showing. From that, we got some great valuable feedback. We love our surveys. And we then launched an 8-week one, and we had a lot of fun all over again. And that time it was with 142 participants. So that definitely, it was a way to reach folks that aren't able to attend the in-person classes for sure. We also celebrated the 200th edition of our newsletter, which, 200 tips, recipes, it's a lot of work, but we truly love that newsletter because we do feel that communication is key, and it's a great way to reach folks that will not, could not be in the school building. The virtual turkey trot also had its highest attendance to date, so that was a huge win and a lot of fun. So very quickly, just a little mention about year 6, which is where we are currently. Our theme is Reboot and Reimagine. So now that we're able to have in-person classes, we are rebooting those activities with Commit Club. And for this is available on our website. But with Commit Club, basically, you get a point for each activity you attend, and you can redeem your points for cool prizes, cash them in for smaller prizes, or save them and bank them for bigger prizes. Our classes are all free for the community and everyone is invited. We'd love to have you. Each of you should have a nice booklet that is a more detailed report of our year 5. I sincerely apologize. I have some beautiful booklets that are currently still at the printers because there was a delay in printing. But all that information is there for you. Folks at home, it's available at rapc2bf.com on our homepage. There's electronic format as well. I'd encourage you to check that out and see some of the really cool pictures from our past year. So again, thank you for your support. We truly appreciate it. Also, thank you to the PATH Foundation for their funding. And together, you know, we've all accomplished a lot in the last 5 years. Any questions?
That's a really full-looking yoga class there on the last slide. Do you have a bigger space available for yoga, perhaps, or?
For yoga, yes, yes. That is a good problem to have when you have.
Door and wanted to get in, but couldn't fit.
Yes, I heard. I'm so sorry about that. Yes, we are exploring other options, even perhaps off-site if needed, something local. So we are exploring that for sure. The last thing we want to do is to turn away folks. Yes.
Great work.
Thank you.
5 years is hard to believe.
It's flown by. It's been fun. Yes. Yeah, and thank you to Dr. Grimsley because ultimately this was her vision. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and to keep the positive momentum going, every year Bsba does a student video contest. Now, every year we do not enter it because it does take a lot of work on the part of students and teachers who help out to create this video. But this year we did have a willing participant and some willing students. So I'm going to ask them to come to the podium. Mr. Seward, did you want to say anything about this? And Lee Bernstein, our Virginia College Advising Board Advisor, was going to help with this.
Good evening again, Dr. Grimsley, members of the board. The two students, Hugh and Maeve, what can I say? These are two leaders. This is why we do this work. This is why we do this work. And so Dr. Grimsley shared, saying, hey, Carlos, is this something that your kids would be interested in? Lee Bernstein, myself, Tim Stockdale, and Jennifer Galt, we put this out there to a cohort of students. And these students really just took the ball and ran. You asked Dr. Grimsley how she feels about it. Well, I'll let her tell you how she feels about the video. She's seen it. But I'd like to introduce these two students, have them say a word about themselves, their hopes and dreams for the future, and then this project, and then Madam Clerk then we can present the video. The first young person I'd like to present to you is Maeve Cuba. Maeve is a senior. This past summer, she had an opportunity to study at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. One of her goals is to move on to college, university, and study lots of different things. The second young person I want to introduce you to, he's somebody that wants Camden's job. We got to talk about him later. This is Hugh Garner. One interesting thing about Hugh is that this past summer, he met Her Majesty, the Queen of Spain. I'll let him tell you about that. So let's start with ladies first, and then Hugh, and then Madam Clerk, the video.
So I'm Maeve, and this project was, it was a lot of fun. We didn't have a ton of time to work on it. All of our group, we're very busy people. So we didn't have a large time window, but we tried our best to convey a message that we felt we could comfortably put ourselves behind, that we could comfortably convey and say that we believed in it and that we were passionate about it. So I'm really happy with what we came up with.
And I would concur with Maeve. I would say that it was definitely a great mental challenge to be able to kind of figure out how to portray what we wanted to within the 30 seconds that was allotted to us. So I definitely think that it was a curve, and I think we're happy with what we were able to produce. Thank you.
The future President of the United States and Broadway star. I'm going to get their autographs before they leave here today. Watch what I tell you. Madam Clerk, if we could have the video, please, at your pleasure. And again, they only had 30 seconds to convey this idea. We hope you enjoy it.
And the theme was Rising Above that Bsba gave this year. Rising Above, the students have 30 seconds to capture that message. So this is what we'll be sending to the Bsba contest. Meeting control team. I'm sorry. We can start over. It's only 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What is this? I don't know what this is. Robin.
Did you hit the arrow?
This?
Yeah, hit the arrow. There you go.
Oh, goodness. Okay. All right, evil spirits be gone. Here we go. Gets me every time.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Madam Superintendent, Rising Above, You're Not Alone. That video encapsulates a typical experience for one of the high school students where you saw Paige Molyneux, a senior, by the way. She's the young woman in the cheerleading outfit. She's going throughout the school day and she's interacting with different people doing very different things and realizing and encapsulating that students here at Rappahannock County High School, no one, as Liverpool football say, no one walks alone, right? And so I'm really proud. Our division superintendent, I believe, is proud of it. And I just want one more time, Madam Superintendent, if we can, give it up for Hugh and me. And all of them. Thank you, Dr. Grimsley.
A lot of work, right, for 30 seconds. Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks for standing up.
Do you have an estimate of the amount of time you spent on it, Maeve?
Pardon?
How much time did you think you spent on that? The group?
Well, you did a lot of the editing heavy lifting, so we'll have to give a time frame for that. But I'd say it was probably a couple hours in total to brainstorm what we wanted to do. 30 seconds doesn't mean you have to have a ton of content, and that can make it difficult, but it can also make it easy time-wise. So.
For editing, I would say that knocked it out over a weekend, and I was happy to do last-minute touches on the Monday business too. So.
Great. Good work.
Well, talk about invoking an emotional response. The first time, and I've seen these before, we've had some really good ones that, we've put out for Bsba. So this one I'm watching in my car, just waiting for one of my kids, and I watch it, and I was a blubbering mess. Oh. You guys got me so well. And I just know them so well too, so I think that's part of it. But just like, oh, this is Rappahannock, this is our school, these are our sweet kids. It's so good. I'm so proud of them.
Well, good message.
What is the contest?
It's over, we submitted them last week, apparently, and they will present the winner at the Bsba conference in November.
Is that on
16,
Thursday
17.
or Friday?
I'll have to look at the schedule.
Okay. I hope it's Thursday.
Yeah.
It's usually during that general session. I think it is during the
So Bsba is the Virginia School Board Association, and we'll be heading down there in November to the annual conference. And this type of advertisement goes as part of that to award students while we're there. Last time I thought it was a Wednesday night because I missed it.
Maybe.
Let's see.
But that
We'll
doesn't
find
mean
out.
All right, thank you very much. The next item, 4.6, is just the SIPA policy review. This is the review each year that we have to put the acceptable computer use in front of you so that you can read it. I will not read it to you.
Thanks.
I think we can do that. We had, yeah,
1 year.
very literal interpretation sometimes, but we will assume that you can read and post it on Board Docs so you can check it anytime you want. All right, so 4.7 Bsba October policy updates. We wanted to get these in front of you as soon as possible because we do have a deadline January 1st to adopt these policies. These are the policies that are regarding curriculum review of anything with explicit content. So you can review these. Bsba has put out a good template for us. Our procedures in place are typically been pretty good with this anyway. Teachers do a good job of making sure we have age-appropriate content in all the general curriculum. And any time that they want to use supplementary material, it does have to get principal approval. And rule of thumb usually is if you have to ask if it's appropriate, it probably isn't to use from the classroom for a general audience and a captive audience. So we try to, and if you feel like you need to use it, we still allow that autonomy with teachers, but they typically will send home a notice to parents with a permission slip if it's something above level that they wanted to show or something. So the policy committee will get together sometime in the next month or two, and as long as we adopt by January 1st, we should be fine.
So this is kind of the first reading.
This is just to get it in front of you so you're aware of it, and then the policy team can meet with us to go through in more fine detail.
This is the Bsba suggested.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks.
And finally, our well check. It's short and sweet there. Good news. All right, so we still use the CDC community transmission metrics, Rappahannock, and everyone around us is all in green as of October 7th, so that's wonderful. And that is true of our school as well. I'll get there in a second. Remember last month I shared with you some of the other areas that we were worried about with input, mouth disease, impetigo, just some strange things that we hadn't seen surface to the level we were seeing it there for a little bit. But since our last meeting, we have no new cases of impetigo, no new cases of hand, foot, and mouth, and only 3 COVID positive cases reported. So doing really well, still in low community and school transmission. We are starting to see quite a bit of strep, and flu is starting to appear. So,
With COVID cases, staff or students?
I believe just all students.
Any questions?
That's it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reese. Okay, moving on to reports of the headquarters representative, Mrs. Bynum. Would you show where we're at?
Yes, I have a report here from, I was going to say Ms. Dwyer, but it's
Stop this one.
Janoli. Yeah, let's say Janoli, it's Italian. The headquarters recently supported a 4th grade chain staff field trip that'll happen in April. It's a $1,900 grant for field trips, so that seems to be aligned with the desire to have more field trips happen. It's an exciting one that hasn't happened in years. The after-school enrichment program is halfway through its first semester and looking forward to the second session, which runs from January 17th to May 18th. They're hoping to offer some new enrichments, which might include weird and wacky science, dance, or maybe chess. And Headwaters is working with Jenny Capsa to enhance and streamline the scholarship application process for the seniors. They look forward to launching the scholarship application in December before the holiday break, which is almost right around the corner. And Headwaters continues to support students pursuing dual enrollment classes with Laurel Ridge Community College, and recently provided financial assistance to 5 students who applied for that. And the Headwaters Harvest Festival was on October 1st. Unfortunately, it was raining on that day, but it still was deemed a success. And about 350 to 450 people came during the course of the day, which seems like it was more than just a success. I mean, I wouldn't expect that anymore on a sunny day. So it was good. And looking forward to doing a similar event next year, and hopefully more school programs can come in the future at that time. Congratulations.
very much. MVGS, Mount Vista.
Dr. Grims is going to report. I was out of the country.
See the wonderful
And
sights of
I did not zoom in at 3 in the morning.
Come on.
We had a very interesting meeting. It was the joint Mount Vista Governing Board meeting with the Academic Advisory Board. So those two groups got together. Students presented some of their work, which was always just super incredible. Some of the statistics that those children used to convey their projects were just mind-boggling. Creating apps to treat mental illness. What was her project? Gosh, it was so cool. She created an app that would calculate whether mental challenges such as anxiety and depression could be treated as a contagion, like COVID. I did this comparison work with tracking the genetics of the cases of depression with those you're around. It was just remarkable, pretty amazing. And then we had also the group of students who helps sort of like a sunshine club and gets kids motivated and having fun with in different groups, like pride clubs sort of. And Isaac Schulin, one of our very own students, led the group in a very, very dynamic activity where they timed all of us to see if we could get an Oreo from our forehead into our mouth and who could do the quickest. I did it in 20 seconds.
Oh,
Demonstration.
That's no videos are permitted to be posted of that, but it was a fun challenge and really interesting to watch. Kelly Huff, our executive director for Mount Vista, was probably the most hilarious.
Sounds exciting. Archie,
You accomplished
Archie
that.
said you missed it.
I should have come back.
Oh, one thing of note that we do have to watch for in budget planning is the increase in slots, the slot cost, based on the budget increases that we're seeing. So we'll have to look for that. It won't be a huge impact on us overall. I think it's about a $6,000 increase overall, not per slot for us.
How many slots do we have?
We have 8 slots paid, and then we have the availability of 2 more at large.
And they're all being used.
Yeah. Well, not, yeah, sort of.
Well, I didn't hear what you said.
They're all being, we don't have them all filled right now, so they're on hold. But we do have a cohort coming up that's really large. That we feel like there's going to be a larger pool for Mount Vista.
Right.
All right, thank you. Montessori discussion. We talked about this a couple months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure where we stand on this conversation.
Well, I think Dr. Grimsley's done some research and have some ideas that we might want to listen to and talk about.
Sure. So in investigating this a little bit, there are public school systems who do have Montessori embedded curriculum or programs in them. The difficult part is that the pacing is quite different than what the general ed pre-K-12 curriculum has to accomplish. Right now, we're under a lot more strenuous regulations, especially in preschool early childhood, where it's all based on the birth to 5, link BQ, link B5Q building blocks. So everything has to be aligned to that. Our BPI classes have to go through, we have a site visit next week for an audit on our BPI classrooms. There's so many pieces that we have to meet that I'm not sure the program as a whole will fit really nicely into ours without creating a whole other separate program. It would have to be separate classrooms for each, if that's something we wanted to explore. I thought, after looking at some of the training that they have out there, is pretty decent. And any teacher, improving the tools in your toolbox for instruction is always a good thing anyway. So what I thought was we could offer some type of incentive, like some schools do for if you get your national board certification, we offered this kind of a bonus incentive-wise, just to give you another tool in your toolbox to have that training. We could see if K-2 teachers have, wish to have Montessori training. And there are different levels of training. We can start with the basic one. It won't get your school Montessori certified, but it'll give you the basics of the Montessori approach in preschool, early childhood, if they had time to do that. And then we could at least say we have so many teachers that are Montessori trained as well in early childhood. That's a place that the board is interested.
A teacher might be interested.
A teacher might be interested.
So that would be integrated into a regular classroom using just some of the tools and techniques.
Right.
Sure.
The Montessori.
I mean, there are different tools and different techniques that Montessori approach to things with kids is different, and it's not as test-oriented, I guess one would say, as you might say. But it has really good data as far as student learning processes go. It's not for everybody, but it's something that you can't hurt learning something new, like we did from a teacher's point of view. You learn something new and use it when you can. It makes a big difference, I think.
Would we, that's one part of, from my experience with Montessori is that it's not as scheduled, this is reading time, this is math time. Would we be able to
It would be,
just, I don't know.
That's
if
the
we
thing,
call it
pacing
Montessori,
is
call it
almost-
Montessori.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the pacing is almost impossible, but to have your teacher Montessori trained in things like self-discovery learning and using manipulatives to problem solve, there's different pieces of it that don't have to do with the pacing.
Right.
That could still be useful to, and, it's not, some of the courses are not very long at all to give the basics. If we did offer an incentive for basics, if that's the pleasure of the board.
Seems reasonable to offer.
Could we survey, or could we maybe just ask K-3 teachers who would be interested in that?
Yes, and we could put it out there if the incentive was available, because this does seem to appeal to a different set of clientele in our community that we may not be reaching. So it might not be a bad idea to see if we couldn't get some folks trained in that modality.
If they're interested.
If they're interested. I hate to put anything mandatory on teachers right now because of all the things they have to do. But if it's something they would like to pursue, especially if we cover the cost and offered an incentive, we do have grant funds that could do that.
I think that'd be wonderful.
I think it would be great to add those tools if we can.
See if they're interested.
Okay. We'll do that last.
Thanks. Thanks for that research.
Well,
All right, moving on to public comments. Is there anyone who would like to address the board this evening? Anybody?
So anybody on Zoom?
Anybody on Zoom?
I have one iPhone 143. Would you like to address the board? Raise your two hands. Seeing none? Okay.
All right, we have no action items this evening. We have zero. It's been a long time, I can't recall. Is there any new business this evening? Is there any requests for future agenda items this evening? Our next regularly scheduled board meeting is November the 8th at 6:30, back in this very same room. And I think it is, let's see, the conference is not until after the next one. All right, so at this point, we'll be going into closed session. We'll have a motion in closed session. We're going to be in there for no more than 10 minutes, maybe less if you want to hang out and wait, and we'll come back and certify and vote on closed session reports, personnel reports, and adjournment.
We have a motion. I move the board in closed session for the following purposes. Consider the appointment of the staff, classified positions, coaching positions, discussion of superintendent goals pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1.
a second?